what you call it. Saturday night, I am so Kenny Wallace on that. Dirt, 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 I miss that. Dirt, 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 gotta get back to it. I've been the Kenny Wallace of the rap game. Ever since I hit him with that dirt track thing. Now nationwide, everybody knows my name. They're like, mama, that's Kenny Montgomery. He sings that song we like. Yeah, boy, that's me. Roll out the trailer, I'm flossing. Them Hoosier tires glossing. Them cold kind we're tossing. They know I came to wreck it, yet I rarely bring out a caution. I hit the high side, boy, I park it for Brian Clausen.
Welcome to Throttled Up the Podcast. Often imitated, never duplicated. Your weekly home for the best in motorsports coverage.
Even your grandpa talking about
And welcome back to Throttled Up the Podcast. We are back and better than ever, Matt, here in studio. Seems like it's been a while since we've just had a guest in studio and been able to talk a little bit here with everything that we've had going on. But excited to get started here. And
well, we all had to take a break from building our ark, because of all the rain we've had. So,
yeah, I have to say, we'll get into it here a little bit with our guests, but Friday night, we went down to Thunder Valley to do the broadcast, and we were coming back, and Salem got no rain. Like everywhere around us, we're watching Facebook, and they're talking about, how bad the weather is and the rain, and no rain whatsoever. Ryan and I are coming back in the trailer, and we hit some rain outside of Salem coming into Scottsburg. Then we get in Scottsburg, and the pavement's dry again. And we turn north on 31, and we get north of Austin, and it is like a hurricane.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy comes up, and he's flashing his lights like crazy at me. And I've got a headlight out on the truck, and I thought, my gosh, is he flashing his lights at me because my headlight's out? And Ryan's like, I don't know, but he's going nuts. No, I figured it out. About an eighth of a mile on down, there's a tree across the road on 31. So we were able to inch around it and get on home. But, yeah, it was beautiful other than being excessively hot at Thunder Valley on Friday night while everyone else was getting inches upon inches of rain dumped on them. So,
yeah, I can't believe it. It looks like this weekend we're going to get round 2.
Yeah, and I hate that because some good events this weekend. We'll get into that here in just a little bit. But before we get started, I want to I want to introduce our guests tonight. Actually, I'm going to throw it to you to introduce our guests. We're all out of sorts because we haven't had a guest in studio. So I'm going to throw it to you. You usually do our introductions.
In-house tonight, our Pewter Hall Superstock driver is going to be Tommy East. Tommy, welcome to the studio.
Thanks for having me.
And I want to start right here with you, Tommy, because, I messaged you and I said, hey, let's get you on this. And your immediate reaction was, oh, man, I don't know if I'm ready for that.
How many times have we heard that?
And then I got, if you can't find anybody else, I'll do it. I didn't look very hard because I have been wanting to have you on, man. So we're glad you're here, and we appreciate you coming over to do the show with us. But I'm going to start right where we start with everybody, man. And how did you get wrapped up into this whole racing thing, man?
Well, when I was in my early 20s, I raced go-karts for a season or so. I raced with Matt Becks and Scott Bell, some of my friends from high school. Then I got married, and the go-kart got put up. Well, I had my son Jacob, and I think karts are probably more dangerous than anything we do over there at Brownstown. But so I gave that up, and then a few years ago I needed a hobby. I always just worked, and a friend of mine I went to church with, he wanted me to fly remote control airplanes with him. I'm trying to make this short, but it's probably too late. I've already.
We got an hour, man.
Yeah. So he invites me over to the flying field, and if you know anything about that, they get the airplane way up there, then they hand you the control, and you think, man, this is really cool. You get in trouble, and it's up there far enough where they can take it back over and get it before it crashes. So it's kind of like they get you hooked and reeled in. So the next thing you know, you're hanging out over there, and then you're buying a little trainer plane, and then it's like everything else. You start out with one size, and you got to have a bigger motor, and you got to have bigger this. But anyway, So the first year or two, I was really heavy into that, and we would even in wintertime, we would put coveralls on. We would put pontoons like you'd use on the lake to land an airplane on water, but we'd do it when it was snowing. I mean, that's how dedicated we was to fly. So about the third winter, I'd become a fair weather flyer. I think I'm not gonna put coveralls on. You can't hardly feel your fingers when you're trying to fly this remote control airplane. So then I thought, well, I'll go. We had that Godsees Raceway in town. We had an RC racetrack in there, and I knew all the Chastains, and Tanner was racing there at that time. And I think I'd message him back and forth. He's like, "Oh yeah, come on down. Steven will rent you a car." So Steven Godsey rented me a race car, and we had a little bit of fun with that. So then you know, rental's not much fun because you want to take it home and tinker with it and practice. So anyway, I started racing there and getting into that. And then, of course, there was a lot of drivers during the winter that would go there and race. Groomer, I've seen Groomer there. All the Godsees were there. I'm leaving a bunch of them out. But there were a lot of Sassers were there racing and all them. So then, when big car race season starts, it dries up because everybody's at the big track. So I thought, I ain't got anything to do this weekend. I'd already hung my planes up. So I started hanging out with the Chastains, and then the next thing you know, I'm thinking, man, I might like to try that. And then Matt Terry's my son-in-law, and he had bought a new car, and I messaged him and his dad, Mike. I said, hey, what do you want for that old car you got? And they made me a really good deal on it. Talked to my wife, and she didn't flat out say, you put her foot down and say you can't do it. So I bought it, and then I just started going to the racetrack. And next thing you know, you buy a new, different chassis, and just kind of like you did with any other hobby, you start with what you can get your hands on to start with, and try to work your way up.
The best is when the wife doesn't say no but doesn't say yes, because it opens the door just enough that.
Well, I'll tell you this, my wife said when I was flying those remote control airplanes, once you can barrel roll and fly upside down and do things like that, it's time to get a bit different plane, one that's faster or one that does this or one that does that. So I was buying a lot of planes, and she goes, I'm glad that you found a hobby that you'll last with more than 2 months. Best time to slow down on buying those airplanes, but now hindsight, she probably would have said, just keep buying as many of those toy airplanes as you want.
You can have a plane every 2 months.
Stay away from these big cars.
You remind me of a guy that started a podcast and had to hide boxes when they came in.
Yeah, we started this on a
card table.
And this little two mic audio interface.
Is this 150 today? The number?
This is 120.
120.
120 for this show. So one of the funniest stories is my wife came home one day and I said, I got you a new microphone. And she's like, oh my gosh, thank you. That's awesome. And then she walked out here and she realized she had got my old microphone because I had bought me a brand new microphone. She didn't find that as humorous as what I did. So,
and then Dustin was trying to beat her home from work so we could hide the boxes a few times.
Yeah, that's. Yeah. Now we just bought a business and we ship everything to the business.
I was getting ready to say you should have had them shipped to your day job.
That's exactly what we do. It's a business expense. So obviously you get in that first year and start in the big car, and so how did it kind of progress from there? You get the car and.
Well, I get the car and I'm out there in everybody's way, just driving around the back. And, I'm apparently not a natural at this because it's just way harder to learn to do this than what I thought it would be. Everybody says that, it's just go fast and turn left. You've heard that a million times.
Yeah.
But I spent most of the time not being able to tell my help what the car needed. You know what I mean? I'm jumping forward, but now I know when the car feels good and what I want it to feel like. Prior to that, I had nothing to judge off of. So if you're going in the corner, and my entry's been terrible from day one, and if you mess your entry up, everything center and off is is already screwed up before you get there. You know what I mean? And I just never could get the car to turn. But you know, Brian Asbury helps me a ton, and he likes to drive a tight race car. The guy that built my race car, Bartlett Grant, in Rainmaker Race Cars in Kentucky, he likes to drive a tight race car. So kind of my basic setup was probably tighter than what was comfortable for me. But spent the first year just trying to get the car to turn. I mean, it was just really terrible, you know, and trying to stay on the lead lap, you know.
But I think you make a great point there that I think a lot of times gets overlooked is when you didn't grow up doing this and being on dirt, you don't even know. You have to learn, do I have a good car or not? You know, and it really it reminds me of Joss Moffitt, Matt, when we first interviewed him, and he talked about the first time he got in a 410 sprint car. And he said, I went out there, and he jumped straight into 410s, and he said, I'm out there in hot laps, and he said, I think I've got this thing mashed. And he said, I got lapped 3 times in hot laps. He said, I had to figure out that, no, you're not good, you're not fast. So learning that idea of what is a good car, what do I need it to do, is a huge learning curve.
Right.
Well, you started in your 40s also, right?
Yeah, 47.
That's what, you know. That's
who does that?
if you're anything like me, when I was in my 20s, I was a bit more of a daredevil.
Yeah.
You know, I'm 49, so it's like this is going to hurt if I screw up. You know, you start thinking about those other things that you know in your 20s and early 30s. You don't think about that stuff.
Well, and too, people bring that up like, what in the world are you doing? Are you going through some midlife crisis, or what's the problem here, East? And you know, it's the first time in my life where I could kind of swing it financially, but it's also that time in my life where my brain's smart enough to know that you're spending way too much money to have. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, when you're younger, you'll beg, borrow, steal to put a go-kart together, to whatever together, and the money's the furthest thing from your mind.
Yeah.
But when you get older, you're like, okay, I can afford this, but why am I spending that much money on this race car?
That's another great point right there, is that balance, because we've talked to a lot of guys in here that beg, borrow, and steal to get to the racetrack, and understandably so, but you're right. And with that maturity comes, do I really need this?
Yeah.
You know, is this going to help me in my race program? So, obviously, you know, you get started there and figuring out, you know, now I know what I need and what I want. Where's your next step there then? Once you've kind of figured out, you can talk to your guys that help you out. Where you go from there?
Well, what I was looking for, like, I've had a ton of racing friends that's helped me out, and even like Matt Becks, I call him, talk to him. Bubba Woods, I don't know if Bubba Woods won a lot of races at Brownstown, and I wanted a teacher that, I mean, just because people can drive doesn't necessarily mean that they can teach someone else how to drive. I wanted them to tell me, okay, East, you need to go in right here. You're going to put on the brake right here. You're going to pick up the throttle. I wanted them to I just wanted them to tell me what to do. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And, you know, everybody drives different. Yeah. And, then that's what they were telling me. You can't, just because this is the way we would do it doesn't necessarily mean that's the way you do it. So you got to kind of find that, how your driving style is compared to the person that's trying to help you. You know what I mean? As far as if your driving style is pretty straight around Brownstown, which is what you need to be fast there. You know, you go down to Kentucky and race, a lot of them guys, they have big motors, a big foot, and they'll haul it in the corner and turn that stomp and steer and drag race back down the other end. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I mean, that's not going to be fast up here at Brownstown, you know. So,
you know, and to jump ahead a little bit here, you know, you talked earlier about, as you started, you know, you wanted to get to 10th, and you said, you know, you got to 10th, and then that jump to get to 10th, it just gets exponentially harder to continue to move up. So when you look at that, how do you set your goals on what you want to see out of your race program?
Well, back to year one, I was just trying to stay on the lead lap and stay out of people's way. Because, I mean, I've been in people's way out there. I done a bonehead move last week and got into Clegg going into one. He had a run on me in the outside, and I just stupid. Just drove right in there with him and didn't give him near enough room. I apologize to him, but you know how it is it's hard at the racetrack to, people hear that all the time. I didn't mean to do that. You know what I mean? But I genuinely didn't mean to mess him up. I had a lot of rear brake cranked in it, so when I went in there, I got in there too hard, stabbed the brake, and just spun myself out down at the end. Luckily, I didn't mess anybody up real bad. When you're facing the wrong direction and up in the top 7 or so, and they're coming by you, it's good when everybody makes it past you. But staying on the lead lap was my start, and then I just wanted to get to where I could stay with them. You know what I mean? And then it's a whole nother ball game once you can run with the guy in the back to be able to pass. Passing's a whole nother thing, and I've been the guy in the back that's kind of all over the place, and I've been really hard to pass, and it's really hard to pass people that
that don't hold the line
Yeah, and I've been that guy that's been hard to pass.
What's the best way to do that? Is it follow them and kind of try to find a tendency that they're in? Or?
The other night we qualified terrible. Well, let me back up. The night that I spun out up there in the front and got put back on the tail, I basically just tried to ride around the back. And here's another thing about Brownstown. Up front, I felt like I was just barely on the gas in the back, and I was staying up with them. Really well. You don't have to run wide open around there to be fast. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
And I just tried to stay there and pick and choose when somebody will go high. I like to pass on the bottom coming out. My car seems to have a lot of forward drive, and that's the easiest place for me to or beat them to the next corner, usually. But I'm not really good on the top. So
see, I think there's a lot of risk for the reward up on that high side, because you go over that top. It seems like everybody that does that, they lose 5 or 6 spots every time right there.
A few weeks ago, whatever race we had when Devin Gilpin was over there, I watched that, and he would get up on the top down the front stretch. Okay, you know how it kind of crowns flat and then it drops off.
Uh-huh.
He would get up there on that top where nobody been, where that moisture was, and just hammer down the stretch, lap after lap after lap.
Yep.
That's too narrow for me to be able to do that.
That's a million laps around Brownstown Speedway.
I was going to say, the only other guy racing over there now that has more laps than that's probably Matt Boatneck.
Yeah.
and he, when he comes around you, it doesn't even sound like he's in the throttle. He just purrs right around you. I've been passed by him a lot of times. I know what that sounds like.
I wish there was a way, to even ballpark Matt and Devin on how many laps they've probably made around that joint, because it'd be remarkable.
Dennis has been there. He's 79 track champion, but there's been some times he ain't raced. Matt's been consistent, for years.
2 classes a night.
2 classes. So, I'd say those guys are probably pretty close for the most laps, active driver wise.
I would think so. And you think about it, both of them still have a long racing career ahead of them as well.
Yeah.
So, definitely. Hey, let's take our first break here real quick, bring in our sponsors, and we'll be right back with Tommy East. Race Clean Products is the cleanest brand in motorsports. No matter if you're using the original or the all-new Fast Hands formula, you are guaranteed to keep your hands clean under the most intense racing situations. The original or blue formula is perfect to keep at the sink in your race shop and will ensure that you won't come home covered in grease and grime. But for those unavoidable messes at the track, and you don't have time for a sink and water, be sure to have a bottle of Fast Hands in your trailer. It could be your most important tool. Race Clean products can be found at www.goraceclean.com. Dirt to Media continues to expand its coverage of local racing for race fans. They've expanded to over 70 live events for the 2021 racing season. The live event schedule includes live weekly racing from Brownstown Speedway, Salem Speedway, and Thunder Valley. VIP members can still get all their on-demand racing coverage the next day for one monthly fee. And their monthly fee also includes live racing action each week from Thunder Valley Raceway. In addition to all of this local action, be on the lookout for special events from regional tracks around the Midwest. If you aren't getting your racing action from dirt2media.tv, you're missing out on the best coverage in the Midwest.
Gilpin Electric and Generator Services is a customer-first company that takes care of all your electric and generator needs. They are your go-to dealer, installer, and generator service company. Don't be stuck without power during severe weather this year. Contact Gilpin Electric and Generator Services on Facebook or call them at 812-953-1261.
We've all heard horror stories about insurance companies and insurance agents. Let me tell you about my family's agent, Tommy Taylor. Tommy is an agent at Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance and is a multi-line agent that can keep all your insurance in one place. Why is a dedicated agent so important? When you have the unexpected occur, you'd much rather know the person on the other end of the phone. Contact info for Tommy, 812-372-4483 at extension 2447, or look him up on Facebook at Tommy Taylor, Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance. Don't be another horror story. Stop knocking on wood and relying on a 1-800 number. Trust Tommy Taylor today. One other sponsor, Matt, I want to jump on here real quick and say, and I know we talked about them, a month or so ago, but again, coming up July 8th and 9th, Summer Bash, Indiana, music festival, just outside of Muncie, all-inclusive. I mean, this is the craziest part.
That's the greatest deal I've ever heard at a concert is how this works.
And now a $60 Saturday-only ticket available as well, but all-inclusive. The weekend pass will get you camping, multiple bands and shows, free food included, beer included, the whole deal. And so just an amazing deal. And if you haven't looked, check them out. Go to summerbashindiana.com. Check them out. I'm telling you, and go before you just say, oh, man, I'm not going to that. It's a bunch of, local and regional bands. It's not Metallica. Go and listen to some of these bands because they are very talented, great variety of music all over the board.
People need to realize Metallica was a regional band at one time.
Yeah, that's the funny thing is. But if you are into, the Metallicas and some of that, I got to shout out one of the bands that'll be playing, they'll be headlining on Friday night is Glamerica. And great guys.
You guys doing their shirts, right?
We did their shirts for the Summer of Glam tour, but full-on 80s hair band, tribute band, and they put on one amazing, amazing show. So I'm telling you, just their set will be worth the price of tickets. And this is the other thing I want to throw out about Summer Bash that is so cool. Because it's local and regional bands, those bands are there to enjoy the weekend as well. So you're going to see those band members that you just watched put on a great performance. They're going to be out eating burgers and drinking a beer with you out there. So, again, Bud Light presents Summer Bash 2021. Check out summerbashindiana.com for all that information. And just wanted to give it, again, another shout-out. I know we've got a lot of racing stuff going on the weekend, but if your class is off or you're looking for something just a little bit different, check out Summer Bash Indiana. I'm telling you, you will not be disappointed in heading up there. Even if you just go up there to eat and drink and you don't even really care about the bands, it's worth the price of admission. So really cool deal. But want to jump back in here with Tommy East. And Tommy, I'm going to jump right ahead or just a few weeks back. You pick up your first feature win at Brownstown Speedway. And I don't want to put any words in your mouth. I want to ask you directly, what's it like to be standing there in victory lane at Brownstown Speedway?
Oh, that's really cool. I thought there was a shot I might get a win this year, either in Kentucky or maybe at Little Salem. But I had, my goal this year was just to get to the top 5 on an average, being able to run close to the top 5. Because I figure if you're in that top 5 spot any night, people have bad luck, or your car's a little better than theirs that night, and give you a shot, to win. But I couldn't. Here's the funny thing. So we're going around on the cool down lap, and I think I've won I obviously won the race, and in my head I'm thinking, did I just win this race? Well, I don't. Usually Jamie says, top 5 go to the scale. You hear that, and then she never said nothing to me, and so I pull. You can't see the scoreboard when you're low on the front stretch. So on the cool down lap, I go up high in 1 and 2, so I can see the scoreboard. I'm like, yeah, that's a 12 underneath the 1 there. And about that time, Jamie comes on and she goes, 12, you're going to have to go to the scale before you go to victory lane. I thought, okay, yeah, I did win. I did win that race. This is real.
Who was it? Was it Marty O'Neill a couple years ago? Was it Kane that ran over the top of the banking, and then Marty had no clue he had won the race?
Yeah, Kane went down the backstretch into 3 and went off the banking
last lap, and Marty had no clue.
Marty ran the rest of the race like 5 or 6 laps trying to chase Kane down, not realizing he wasn't even on the racetrack any longer. And the race is over, and he goes, I'm still trying to catch Tyler Kane, didn't he? Because he goes, I thought he was so far ahead I couldn't see him no more.
Well, leading up to that, we had gotten to the lap cars, and I'd gotten around 1, and I was getting ready to come around the other, and we come around, and I thought I'd seen the white flag. Once I got the lead, I didn't know. I hadn't been really paying attention to the lap count, and we got around, so I didn't see the halfway mark or anything. So I was waiting for that. I was waiting for that white. Where's that white flag? Where's that white flag? So I thought I seen it. Well, I come back around, and there was another lap car that I was pretty close to, and so the flagman's got the white flag out and the checker flag out, which obviously means the white flag is for the lap car and the checkered flag is for me. But just to be sure, I went right on around full throttle, buddy, because I seen Martin lose a race like that once, pulling off a lap too soon.
Scott Bloomquist lost the World 100 to Brian Burkhofer that way too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
that's happened to several guys that thought it was already the checkered. But when you pull into victory lane there, obviously, you figure out now you've won, you've gone across the scales, you pull into victory lane. What's going through your head before you start unbuckling?
Well, I had no expectation of being there that night. No, and everything just went my way. The car was best. The way we got it set up, it was better for that. We had that makeup race, you know what I mean? So it was good when the track was pretty heavy. I'm getting there where we can get it to where it's running better slick, but that went my way, and obviously Boatneck blew up, and I think Tucker and JT must have run over something that they
had flat tires.
The flat tires. So, but leading up to that, I was pretty comfortable I was going to get around Brad Cummings, and so. When we restarted and I'm running second and Brad's in front of me, and I already felt like I was a little better in the center than what he was, I thought, man, this is going to be my shot. I had a shot like that the week before down at Thunder Valley, led about 2/3 of the race, and then with nobody to judge off of, you try me. I'm going in just a little too hard each lap, just a little too. So I'm pushing up. Of course, everything's on the bottom down there.
Yeah.
So JT was just back there just waiting, and he sets me up in the corner and passes me pretty as you please with a couple to go, you know what I mean? So, but once I got around him, the car felt so good. Anybody could have drove it, man. It just, this is one of the best times that car's ever felt there at Brownstown. And when I pulled in, I got out, and I just to check that off of your to check off the hardest track around to win at with the competition the way it is.
Oh yeah,
was just a big weight lifted off of you. Because I listened to Justin Bowling's interview prior to one of the races, and if you remember that interview, he was saying, sometimes you just get out there and you feel like you're just not meant to be here, or you're in somebody's way, or you're going to tear somebody up. That's kind of the way I felt the first year or so. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Just not wanting to tear people's stuff up and not wanting to make people mad and upset at me. But
and I think that building of that confidence is a huge thing for a racer. Because I think you have to go, and I think both you and Justin have the right mindset, because if you go in and you're just trashing people's stuff, you're not going to last very long. But then it's that next step of, I don't want to mess people's stuff up, but I got to shoot this gap. I got to take this chance. I got to go for it. And having the confidence not only in yourself but in your car, that your car is going to stick and it's going to do what you want it to do. So I think that's definitely something that, over time you've got to develop. So
I mean, you're a traveling racer too. You race down in Kentucky a lot. Is Brownstown really that hard to win at?
Oh, yeah. I mean, probably. I've heard you guys say probably 10 deep. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I a lot of times I finish in the top 10 there. So I mean, the top 5 tough for sure every week.
Well, we said before the show, you got one of the toughest classes that race at Brownstown. I think, personally, because it is 10 deep. When you guys roll out, it's like, man, any of these guys can put it in victory lane tonight.
I think the other thing that makes Brownstown different than the other tracks is, we raced at Richmond Saturday, and I raced along the side of the guy that built my chassis down there, and he came up to me after the race and he goes, "Let me ask you something." He goes, "Did you think this track was slick?" I said, "Well, it was manageable." He goes, "I knew it." He goes, "I knew it. You racing up there at Brownstown." He goes, "This track was so slick I could hardly stay on it, but it didn't feel as slick to me because Brownstown slicks off by the end of the night.
Yeah.
And you can't be, full throttle all the way around there and just spinning your tires."
I think that's a great point. Brownstown, black and slick at Brownstown is different than black and slick everywhere else.
Anywhere else.
Yes.
Anywhere else.
And Brownstown is consistently black and slick.
Yes.
It has been forever.
Yes.
That's the thing.
And I know some people, pick on the promoter, and right now being Jim, that's, part of that. But you're exactly right. That's historically Brownstown Speedway is black and slick. And honestly, it's probably less now than what it even was back when it didn't have the banking, and it would slick off totally.
Well, that's what I was getting ready to say. I remember being a kid, and it would be so black that when the late models would roll out of 2, you could see the reflection of their wheels in the dirt. It was that black, as a kid. And it's like, holy, because I remember being a kid like this. It's like blacktop now.
Yeah.
And, so
it's a whole different deal than what you see a lot of other
40
places.
some years, that's Brownstown is just, it's going to blacken off and it's going to get slick.
And I think for the majority, I know we've had this argument a lot. I think for the majority of drivers and fans, that's what you want to see, is you want to see that.
Well, it brings the driver out.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's,
I do want to jump back here and touch on this because, and I'm not at all discrediting or saying that's what you were doing, but, you opened up talking about your win with, Boatnick blew up and, JT and Tanner ran over something. And don't get me wrong, yes, Tucker. Yeah, sorry. I don't know why I said Tanner.
I do it too.
Tucker. By no means take anything away from those guys, but don't ever qualify your win because, and I'm saying that because I don't care what happened, getting to victory lane at Brownstown Speedway is an iconic deal.
I was getting ready to do the same thing to him.
Hey, I've been in Brad Cummings' shop, and there's trophies all the way around that shop. You know what I mean? So, I had to pass him.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. And
he stopped me too. And that was another thing. One of the best things about the win was all the guys that come up to me. Brad and Alan Norman stopped me before I even got. They always pit right there on the back stretch, and they stopped me. And Brad told me, he goes, he said, "I didn't want to lose that race, but if I was going to lose it to anybody, I wanted to lose it to you." And he goes, "Not very many people passed Brad Cummings on the bottom, but he goes, you did it." And the funny thing about that is Matt Beckstead texted me prior to the race because he seen the lineup, and he said, "Hey, watch out, Brad's going to want that bottom." And I told Brad he said that, and he's like, "That Matt Bex has got one coming."
Inside information's key.
But and then we talked earlier before we went on. Mike Fields come up and told me what a heck of a race that was, and I got phone calls and texts, and Jason Heyman texted me and said, "Man, that was a great race," and Trent Nicholas does a lot of sign where he's been around raced himself, been around raced forever. He puts on there, looked like the car was on rails. You know what I mean? That, the car was good. Whether I had anything for Tucker and JT had those not happened,
it'll never be known.
You don't know, but
And that's why I wanted to say it. And you're very humble, but you don't have to qualify. Win is a win, and you had the car, and I don't know either. I won't sit here and speculate, but you had a fast race car that night. I do know that, and it was fun to watch. So for sure. So after you pick up that win, and I just want to ask with that night, because you were exactly right. We had the makeup feature and then another full feature. Mm-hmm. How do you come down off of the makeup feature know I got to turn around, I got to go back out and do this again?
Right. Well, I had qualified terrible. We talked about that earlier. I'm really struggling with not having a car to gauge off of how hard to go into the corner. But so I'd qualified back in the back, and I'd already told him, I said, hey, we've already won tonight. Next weekend, I think we had off. It was would have been Memorial Day.
Yeah, I think
Memorial Day weekend maybe or something. I said, I do not want to load this car up, tore up, and have to work on it through the holiday.
Yeah.
When you got a couple weeks off to not have to do anything to it. I said, we've already got that check. You know what I mean? Let's just. So I run around in the back and just kind of bought my time. I think I might have ended up 10th or something, but. Of course, then I get back to the pits, and once you kind of get through the back there a little bit, and it kind of shakes out where it's single file, then you can start racing. And then Asbury was on me. He was like, "Man, them last 5 laps, if you'd have drove like that, them last 5 laps, you'd have finished 5th instead of 10th." And I'm like, "Hey,
we're loading up in one piece.
We already won a race tonight, and the car's in one piece, and we have next weekend off."
And that's interesting, because that was one thing I even said up in the production trailer. When we were watching you win that makeup feature, Ryan Bowling and I were talking, and I said, how tough does it have to be? Everybody talks about, picking up the double and getting two, but how tough's it got to be to come off that high of being in victory lane at Brownstown Speedway to then get back ready and race again? Mm-hmm. And I can't say I can blame you for your decision, because I think I'd have been right there with you on.
And that track was day and night.
Race.
I can say with my personality and attitude, I probably would have junked it and been working for the 2 weeks off, because I was like, man, I just got there. I'm going to get there again.
Well, I joked with them all. We'd ran Little Salem that night, or Friday night.
Yep.
I come in second to JT then. The joke earlier was we was racing three times. We had Salem and then 2 at Brownstown. And they said, man, wouldn't that be something to win all 3 of them? I said, if I could win all 3 of them, I'll sell out and I'll be done. I've already peaked. There's nowhere to go there. I just leave on a high.
The third feature, he got out with a for sale sign and just said,
yeah,
she's ready. Yeah. Come and get her. So now what do you look to? You talked about top 5 consistently, and you're 5th in points right now at Brownstown. I know earlier you said in Kentucky you're 5th or 6th in points down there too. So you're staying in that top 5 right there around points. But what's the goals for the rest of the year? What do you look to go try and do?
Well, I'd like to win at some other tracks. You know what I mean? I've ran really good before at Lake Cumberland. Ponderosa, man, I know you always ask, you probably may have asked, I may jump ahead, you may ask me this before I left, but you always ask people, where's some place you like to run other than Brownstown, and Ponderosa is really fast and really fun. And I didn't think I was going to like it when I went down there, because I'm 58 years old trying to do what younger kids are doing. That wall comes up quick, but you can't drive in my class, it doesn't seem like you can drive in too hard. I mean, it's banked and it just sticks and goes around.
From a spectator, though, turn 4 just seems odd at Ponderosa.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people describe that it's like one big turn and then a short turn. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's like 3 turns
yeah.
instead of 4. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it looks like to me. Like you said, 1 and 2 kind of flows real nicely, and then you get to 3 and you turn 3, and then you got to really turn to get the grandstands was built before the racetrack was, or something. What it looks like,
they fit the track in.
They fit the track
maybe,
in.
Maybe.
We have these grandstands left over. Now let's get a racetrack in.
But I'm planning on. I'm going to try to run the Friday nights down at Salem. I really would like to beat JT down there. But he's got it figured out down there, and running second to him down there's like a win. You know what I mean? He's got 1 billion wins down there. So
Since JT's the Maverick, Tommy might have to be the Iceman.
He might have to be.
don't get my friends started with
Have a whole Top Gun challenge going there.
With nicknames. Don't get them started.
Maverick and Iceman, Friday and Saturday nights.
I mean, that could be an easy call too, right there.
Yeah.
So
You heard it here first on Throttled Up.
So where are some other tracks that you've not raced at, though, that interest you in going to race?
Well, we're going to be going, I think the next travel race is, it's in Ohio. It's I can see the logo, but I can't think of the name of it. It's a bull. It's a bull ring. It's a small one. It's got a big bull on the thing. I can't think of the name of it. But anyway, it's part of that super stock series that I'm running.
I can see the logo now too, but I can't see the name.
I can too. It's
I think it's north of Cincinnati, somewhere in that area right there. It's about 3 hours from home.
It'll come to us.
Yeah.
Somebody will text it
But
here in a
anyway,
minute to Dustin.
But anyway, that's on the schedule. I've got to go back to Isom, Kentucky. That's Mountain Motor. That's in the middle. I mean, you might as well say you're in the Virginias. It's
Yeah.
So the funny thing I can say about Mountain Motors, we had to do the American Crate All-Star Series race there last year and do the broadcast. And so anytime that Dirt to Media is going somewhere we've never been, we pull up the cell phone towers and try to figure out where the towers are and how we're going to have to get internet. And Ryan Bowling and I are sitting there one day and we're looking at them. We're like, well, they're kind of far off, but they don't look too terribly bad. And we're trying to figure out which direction to point. And well, then I pulled up the actual map, like the Jeep, not just the flat 2D, the 3D. And I said, Ryan, there's mountain ranges between every cell phone tower and the track. Like the track sits in a hole.
The sun set really early there at that track because it was behind the mountains.
That's what I said.
By the end of the heat.
You got down and they said, "What's a cell phone?"
Oh, I did. I got my text from Steve Peden.
Yeah.
I believe the track is called Moeller. He texted me and said Moeller dumbass. I think it's just called Moeller though.
Yeah.
I believe.
No, he was signing the bottom of his text message.
Oh, that's from dumbass.
Yeah, he was
Got it.
he was letting you know who sent it to
Got
you.
it. Oh, that makes more sense. I got to change his name on my phone.
That's his middle name.
I just had him as finished second to Tyler Neal. That's what I had him. And there's
I looked it up. It's Jackson County Speedway,
I guess-
Jackson, Ohio.
Who's the dumbass now?
oh yeah, yeah, Steve Peden. I just can't believe Steve Peden's watching tonight. He usually tomorrow morning. So, but now I'm waiting for the recovery here from him. I'll get something pretty good. But what do you think as you talk? You've talked about qualifying something you're trying to get under control right now and figure out better, and your turn entry, but. Overall, where do you think your biggest improvement has come from that first time getting in the car to now?
Well, I started out with just basically hanging on. You know what I mean? I mean, if you had asked me what the flagman was doing, I'd have said I'd never seen him the whole time I was out there. You know what I mean? But now, once you're comfortable in the car, now you can start looking to where the other guys are running, looking to where maybe there's some moisture in the track,
right.
The hole that you don't want to hit, you know what I mean? Things like that. Where before, you were just, or I was anyway, I don't know if everybody's like this, but I was just so, amped up and just hanging on that I was just trying to survive the night,
Was your body like sore the next day? Was you like stiff in the car?
Not really. And I didn't really get, starting out, I didn't really need to get a lot of butterflies and things like that. Nothing really bad. It used to bother me like Jackson 100 night with a lot of people there. But even now, you don't even pay any. I mean, I don't even. You don't even notice whether the stands are full or not. You know what I mean? But when I first went out there, I thought, oh man, you go out there and spin out in front of the field, and it's Jackson 100 night, and everybody's here, and the TVs, cameras are here. But
TV's there every
well,
week
yeah,
now.
yeah.
Hey, let's take one more quick break here for our second round of sponsors, and we'll be right back to wrap up with Tommy East.
Hey, Matt, what would you say is one of your most prized possessions?
Oh, it has to be my racing T-shirts.
And you've got an impressive collection. But I heard about a new place. P3RacingShirts.com is the one and only place offering genuine custom racing shirts with no minimum quantities. Their shirts are printed in full color using the latest technology in direct-to-garment printing. They have custom designs for several different car types and specialize in our favorite, dirt track racing.
That has to be great for the local driver. You don't have to buy all those up front.
Absolutely, and they don't have to hold all that inventory at home.
What did you say that was again?
P3RacingShirts.com.
Let's check them out. Schaefer Photo and Custom Tee is the place for any race fan to get racing memorabilia. Mark and Jamie Schaefer will work to make whatever custom photo product you would like, from prints, keychains, magnets, buttons, and much more. Stop by the Schaefer Photo and Custom Tee booth and let Bronze Bobby know what they can do for you.
P3 Graphics is one of Indiana's premier suppliers for motorsports wraps and apparel. P3 Graphics offers great pricing along with some of the best customer service in the industry. Give them a try on your next project and you won't be sorry. You can contact them via email, phone, or on Facebook on the P3 Graphics page. To find out more, go to www.p3graphics.com. Again, that's www.p3graphics.com. Jeremy Owens has a reputation for being fast on the track, but also very clean in how he races other drivers. He takes the same approach to his business, OCC Construction and Seamless Gutters. He'll give you the best price, complete the job in the quickest timeline possible, all while giving you the best quality craftsmanship you can find. Jeremy believes that his word is everything, and the best form of advertising is word of mouth. He wants every customer happy when he finishes a job. So if it's new gutters, renovation projects, decks and patios, or a full home remodel, give OCC Construction and Seamless Gutters a call today. When you call them, let them know Thirsty Goat Entertainment sent you. You can contact OCC at 812-592-7899. I do want to give a big shout out there. OCC Seamless Gutters, our sponsor, Jeremy Owens, does a tremendous job in all construction, guttering needs. Went over and hooked up dirt to media zones. Ryan Bowling took care of some gutter work for him. But the real thing I want to talk about is that big crate race Friday night at Thunder Valley. And Jeremy Owens back-to-back wins at Thunder Valley and picks up $1,250 down there. The coolest thing, as we went down to present the check to Jeremy, Blake Barber that works with him was down there, and Blake said, I'm pretty certain this is the biggest win of Jeremy's career. And Jeremy did verify that he had won some modified races, obviously, but never anything for $1,250. So
awesome. Pretty
cool deal getting to see him down there. And so congratulations to Jeremy on that big win. And then looking ahead here real quick, obviously we've talked the weather, doesn't look to be too helpful. But
no.
If it's changed, June 26th, this Saturday there at Brownstown Speedway, we're going to be looking at the Don Russ Memorial, $1,000 to win for the Pure Stock, so that Pure Stock special getting out there. Also the Indiana Pro Late Models Modified Super Stocks and the Crown Vics all racing there. Do also want to say, if you're looking for something really cool with that Crown Vic series, coming up 4th of July on that Sunday, the Firecracker 150 at Salem Speedway, also $750 to win. They're putting the Crown Vics on the big track.
Oh wow!
On the half mile, with a chance for $750 to win. So should be really cool to see them out there as well. And then on Sunday, if the weather plays right, the Indiana Pro Late Model Series, P3 Graphics Indiana Pro Late Model Series, will be traveling to Circle City Raceway. And, man, I'm excited to see Circle City Raceway. I've heard good things and excited to see those guys up there at Circle City and get the chance to see what they can do. Steve Peden obviously feels pretty confident about his weekend because he's got time to be sitting here and making comments to us. That must mean he just knows that water is wet and Tyler Neal's fast.
The ILMS will also be on July 4th at Scottsburg.
Yes, for the Scottsburg Fair Race.
Yes.
So down there on 4th of July as well.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, some great things coming up here. But
Born Free 40 on July 3rd at Brownstown also with the super late models.
And your 50th.
My 50th. Yeah. Might have to call in the left-hander there to take care of it Saturday night, though, you know.
So, lots of good racing coming up. Tommy, I want to give you this opportunity here. We do it for everybody, but give you that chance to thank everybody, sponsors and people that help you get to the track every weekend.
Well, first of all, I always want to thank the Lord. He's just blessed me beyond belief. Brian Asbury, he does so much for me. Working tires, help me with the car, set up like that. Thank my wife and family. All the Chas teams, Chuck, Jamie, Tucker, Tanner, Trey, all of them. If it wasn't for them helping me in the beginning, I probably wouldn't be racing. And Mike and Matt Terry, they sold me that old Rainmaker, or not Rainmaker, that old Nightcrawler car they had, and Jimmy's Motor Machine. Mike helps me through Jimmy, does my motor work. Free Spirit Campground, it's got a new owner. They've completely rewired and replumbed the whole place. If you've not been there in the last couple years, it doesn't even look like the same place. Bedford Home Furnishings, that's my dad's furniture store. And one other thing, there's a website. It's called setfree.org. They build wells in Africa and in India, and we're going to do a thing with them where if you donate any amount to them, whatever amount it is, and then you put Tommy 12 in the description, they're going to let me know, and we're going to send you a free race shirt. So.
There you go. That's a great way.
Setfree.org, I think is the thing, and I'll post it on my Facebook site when it gets finalized.
And let us know, and we'll continue to push it here for you as well.
They go into villages that have no clean running water. They have to walk miles, and they put a well in, and they also minister to them and build a church there while they're there, and get a relationship with them, and then when they leave, they do some medical work, and they also this child trafficking stuff. They're big, and I think they're up to maybe 6,000 children that they take care of, that they rescued from that. Yeah, so we're really blessed over here.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
You know what? And that's another great point that I think we miss a lot of times. You know, we think we have true issues. It's something I try to remind my 7-year-old all the time. Like, things will happen. I'm like, dude, you got it way better than you've ever realized.
Right, yeah.
So
yeah. Electricity goes out for a few hours and people can't stand it, you know. And
So, and then I don't know how much you want to get into it, but East Vending, obviously.
I own a vending company. It's eastvending.com. We put pop machines, snack machines, and we do these new things called markets that are like a self-checkout. We put like a mini convenience store in a break room on bigger factories. And then I've got racerschoice.com, which is our brand of coffee that we wholesale to factories and plants and schools and places like that. And we also come out with a beef jerky line for that too, which I'm going to leave you guys some samples before I go. And then we'll get hooked up to do some sponsorship. I just started that just to kind of help buy tires for the race car, to be honest with you. So, but I'd like to, once we get that rolling, I'd like to do some things like, down there in Kentucky, I mean, they have a lot of awards for different things that, I'm not saying that we're behind. I mean, we're behind up here, but it'd be nice for every class to have a hard charger award of a night or a,
fast time. Royal Purple does it for the crates. So that's,
but I'd like to do something for one of the other series, down the road, or look to it.
And I got to tell this story. My wife's going to be so embarrassed, but it's too funny not to tell, because you sent me some samples of the Racer's Choice coffee, and I got to say, it's excellent. If you drink coffee, it really is. But the first time she made it for me, she asked me, she said the night before, she said, so what do I do with it? And I said, well, it's just coffee. It's just like the big thing of Folgers. You just open the package and pour it in. Well, I get to school the next day, and I'm drinking my coffee, and I'm like, this is all right, but this doesn't taste right. And I get towards the bottom, and I get a mouthful of coffee grounds, like
she forgot the
full
filter, huh?
mouthful. No, when I said just open it and dump it, she dumped it straight in the coffee pot and put the hot water in on top of it.
Oh,
so
like,
the entire
like it was instant coffee.
yeah, so the entire package of grounds was in my cup of coffee. Because then I'm in there. I got the 3 assistant principals in my office with me, and I'm spitting coffee grounds in my trash can. But I will say this:
It's French brew, man.
it was when it was correctly made, excellent coffee, and I have had it since then. But she'll be so embarrassed I told that story. But it was hilarious. I came home and I'm like, where exactly did you put that coffee?
You thought you took up chewing again,
And
didn't you?
she's like, well, I put it right in the coffee pot. I'm like, why would you do that? She said, you said open it and just put it in. I said, in the coffee filter, like the same spot you normally would. But excellent coffee, and if you get a chance, go check that out because it's good stuff.
And it's racers-choice.com.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, Tommy, I want to say again, man, we're at an hour, and I appreciate you coming over. And I know at first you said, hey, if you can find anybody else, do it. But I appreciated you having you on. You are you're a lot of fun. You're a great personality for our sport. You do things the right way, which is something we need. You put our sport in a good spot. So I appreciate you, and man, we're gonna keep pulling for you the rest of the year.
I appreciate that. Appreciate you guys too. I've listened to your guys' podcast every time it pops up on my phone. It says there's a new one.
Well, we appreciate that. So,
You kind of let me down here the last little bit. I haven't had very many of them notifications.
We got it. We're getting back on it now. I will be honest. Purchasing the T-shirt shop has
Pulled another direction now.
yeah, it's totally changed my free time a lot. So we're getting a lot of that kind of settled in and figured out, and got some employees in there now that are doing a lot of that stuff. So yeah, we're gonna make a big push back here with Throttled Up to get back on track because this is something that Matt and I have a lot of passion for and want to see continue grow. So we'll be back. You'll start getting your notifications. So, all right, everybody, thank you. We will be back here soon, probably 2 weeks, and then we're going to look at starting to go weekly. So we'll be putting some information out on who will be on again here in 2 weeks. And thanks, everybody, and we'll see you again soon.